In a world of complete uncertainty and where commitment seems completely elusive, there is a truth that all women deserve to know about men. And so in today's video, I'm going to explain to you 4 things that men will do when they are truly committed to their woman. And before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk you through a little bit more about how to go about saving your marriage, going deep into male psychology, and also learning to heal from really, really difficult times in your relationship so that you can be the very best version of yourself. The first sign that he is truly committed to you is that there is consistent and reliable communication. You know, men who are truly committed have a level of stability about them when it comes to communication. They're not flaky in the sense that they're not responding to messages, or, you know, every now and then they will, or every now and then they'll read it but not respond for, you know, a day or 2 days or whatever. They're not leaving you hanging on that front because they genuinely have a desire to spend time with you. And when people want to spend time with each other, they will actively engage in that communication, but they will also be very proactive with it as well. It's not just about responding to messages, genuinely checking in. If they're out on a business trip or whatever, they're checking in to see how you're doing and demonstrating that they're actually interested in you and not just ticking boxes because they don't want you to be pissed off at them. And this is key to really understand, because a lot of people who are in relationships, I've found in my experience that people are just trying to ensure that the other person is not getting annoyed at them. And so they tick boxes, but the energy behind the communication is not one of authenticity. There's not a sincerity and a genuineness to it. As I said, it's just about ensuring that the partner doesn't get annoyed at them. And that's not fun. It's not enjoyable for you, because you want your man to be genuine, to really want to interact with you because he cares about you. And with men who are properly committed in their relationship, they will be proactive. And ultimately, in engaging in these behaviors, it makes you feel heard, it makes you feel understood, and it makes you feel valued as a person. And any man who really wants to be with his partner, this is how he will behave. There will be a level of proactivity to it. Now, this applies in any situation, whether you've been in a relationship for a year or two, whether you've been married for 20 years. There is a level of proactivity. Now, one comment I will make is that if you have been married for a long period of time, 10, 15, 20 years plus, then sometimes people have gotten into a routine. They've gotten used to certain ways of communicating. So you may have a desire for him to be proactive and, to message you all the time or leave little cards and notes about how much he loves you. You may want that. But if that's not the dynamic that has been established over the years, if that's not the standard that has been established, then him not doing those things doesn't mean he's not committed. It's just a habitual behavior that you guys have gotten into. So it might be about having some of those conversations and maybe being proactive on your part and starting to engage in some of those dialogues, or maybe doing those things yourself and see how he responds to those. But generally speaking, if a man is engaging these behaviors that I've referred to, then there's a good sign that he is genuinely committed to you. Now, the second sign is that there are regular displays of empathy and compassion. Often what I've seen in my practice is when two people are not truly connected, there's going to be a level of disrespect, and there's going to be a complete lack of empathy for what the other person is going through. And it suddenly becomes a battle or a war between who's right. One person will start to have the conversation and bring up certain points. The other person is going to be triggered on quite a deep level because no one likes to be quote unquote criticized or, portrayed in a way that they don't think that they are. So they get defensive, they fight back, they fire back, they blame the other person. And often in these situations, one party feels quite gaslit, and then that makes them shut down, and then you end up having this dynamic where one person becomes more dominant and the other person becomes more submissive. And so over time, people get locked into these kind of patterns, and there's no real way of feeling like you can get out of that situation. But when a man is genuinely committed, he's going to have that empathy, and he's going to listen to what you're going through. He's not going to rubbish it. He's not going to shut it down. Now, admittedly, there are going to be some situations where men are going to want to fix things, and so they're going to have a conversation and probably come in there trying to fix it for you or trying to resolve the situation. But don't confuse that with a lack of empathy. I know there's probably a situation for you at the moment where you're wanting to feel heard, you're wanting to feel understood, you don't want things to be fixed, you just want him to hear you out, and I totally understand and appreciate that. And for any guys watching this video, just remember that often when a woman is sharing some of these things, she's just wanting you to listen and understand, not trying to fix it. But you see, when a man is genuinely committed, he's going to make an effort. He's going to be proactive in terms of being empathetic and having that level of compassion for you, because he wants to know how you're doing. He recognizes the importance of it, and ultimately he wants to see you happy. And that's the key thing. You know, there's often this misconception out there that men just want sex and so on. It's really not about that. It's ultimately a man wants to see his woman happy. Nothing lights up a man more than seeing his woman happy, but equally, nothing creates more pain than when his woman is pissed off, is annoyed, is frustrated, and so on. And so if a man is making the effort to show you that empathy, to show you that compassion, to have an active interest in where you're at and be there to support you emotionally during those tough times, is a really good sign that he's really committed to you. Number 3 is that there is a commitment towards personal growth and development. So I find with the best couples, when they are truly committed to each other, often men kind of step up and they'll say, look, I recognize that there's some things that I need to work on, and maybe I want to go and see a therapist or a coach or whatever. There is an active approach towards their own development. And it goes both ways. You know, both parties are helping each other to develop, because I'm a true believer that a relationship is there to ensure that both parties are growing. You have the masculine energy, you have the feminine energy in terms of a man and a woman and so on. And then even if you're talking about, you know, same-sex couples, there is still a masculine-feminine balance there that is always created. And so both parties are learning from each other. And when both parties are learning from each other, then they can recognize, okay, well, this is an area that I'm deficient in. I know this is an area that you're really good at. I can learn from you, and vice versa. So two halves are coming together to create the whole. And that's the magnificent thing about relationships. But it's also the area that can create the most frustration. Most people will forget about wanting to grow, and they'll be more focused on trying to one-up each other. And if you can actually see an opportunity there for your own development whenever you're communicating with your husband, you'll absolutely recognize that this is actually helping you. This is actually helping you to become the best version of yourself. If he says something that triggers you, then is there a way that you can interpret in a different way? Is there a different way that you can process it? Is there some wounds that are being opened up as a result of what he's saying that you need to process? I'm not suggesting that what he's saying is right, or, you know, that it's, you know, if he's being quite rude and so on to you. I'm not saying that that's okay. But if we don't learn how to shift on the inside and create some changes, and all we're trying to do is get that person to change, we disempower ourselves completely, and it's going to limit our ability to move forward. And when a man is truly committed, he's going to want to develop with you. He's going to want to grow. In fact, I was talking to a client of mine earlier this week, and you know, she's only been in the program for a couple of weeks, has made some incredible shifts. And by virtue of the shifts that she started to make within herself, her husband started to notice this stuff. He's now saying, look, I really am ready to start engaging in some therapy and some coaching and so on. I want to move forward and develop on that front as well. And so now they're both equally starting to work together. By no means are they sailing away into the sunset immediately, but they're on the right path. And that's the magnificent thing. So when you're seeing a man who is actually really committed to that growth and committed to that development, then there's a really good sign that he is truly committed to you. And finally, there is a lot of future planning and inclusion in terms of future plans. This is always a wonderful thing. You know, no man is going to want to talk about his future and discuss all these plans when he's not really committed. You know, there's going to be an inclusion there. He's going to want to discuss the future with you. He's going to want to discuss other plans. He's going to be talking about holidays and experiences and kids and, you know, all of these wonderful things. Or even if you're further down the journey and you've been married and you've had kids and so on, it's going to be discussions about what you're going to do in terms of, you know, potentially retiring and going and traveling and doing all these wonderful things together. It's a wonderful experience. I even think about me and my wife. We're constantly discussing these sorts of things because we know that it's only us two. Our future is locked in. We want to be together for the rest of our lives. We're truly committed to each other, and so there is this active inclusion in plans and discussions about our future and so on. And this is what happens when people are committed. Whereas I can think about times in the past where I've been in relationships and I haven't had any interest in discussing those things because I wasn't truly committed to them. There were problems, there were issues and so on, and that created a resistance on my part and prevented me from wanting to give my all. And so a man who is truly committed is going to talk about those things. He's going to engage in those conversations. He's going to include you in those things. Yes, he's going to want some space from time to time because that's what the masculine energy does need occasionally. But a regular inclusion in the plans and so on is a very, very wonderful thing to see. And if you're seeing that, you know that there's a good sign. If he's actively avoiding those things, then equally there's a bit of an indication there's some confusion on his part or some uncertainty on his part about whether this is something that he wants to engage in. And if you are in that place and you are noticing that he is struggling, that he doesn't provide you with that level of connection that you're looking for, that your future just seems very, very uncertain and you're struggling not just in terms of the marriage but also emotionally and mentally, then my heart goes out to you, because relationships are always the greatest source of pleasure, but they're equally the greatest source of pain in our life. And so if you can really learn to create some shifts on that front, it's amazing how it can impact all areas of your life. And so if you are in this place where you are struggling a little bit and you are needing some support and some guidance, and you resonate with my videos and so on, and what I encourage you to do is in the description section below, just click on that link which says book a call with me. Just click on that link, choose a time that works for you, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time just so I can learn a little bit more about your situation, understand some of your challenges and your marriage at a deeper level. And then from there, if I think that you're a good fit for my program, then we can bring you on board and truly help you to be a part of an amazing community of women who have created some incredible shifts, who are constantly growing and developing and just becoming the very best versions of themselves, while simultaneously creating an extraordinary marriage themselves as well during some really testing times. And so once again, if it feels right for you, then just click on that link. I can't wait to be of service to you and speak to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know if you've got any questions or comments or takeaways or anything from this video. I always love reading the responses, so thank you so much, and I'll make sure to respond to every single one of you. And if you want to learn the 3 things that women do that will cause 99% of men to leave their marriage, click this video above. Thank you so much, God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.